Now here we are in Logic and we're ready to bring in the Rex file we made in the last stage into our DAW. Now don't worry if you're using Cubase or Digital Performer or Pro Tools, they'll all accept Rex files, and obviously if you're using Reason you can load it straight into a Dr. Rex sample player or a Dr. Octo Rex if you're using Reason 5. So to bring in our Rex file, we can just import audio as we would with any other format. And I'm going to go to my desktop, and there's our Rex file that we just made, and it's telling us down here. Let me just resize this window. You can see here it says Rex2 stereo, 44.1 kilohertz. It's got 20 slices. It's 4.4, 122 BPM currently, and originally 121.9. You can play it here, or you can just open it. It's telling us that Propellerheads created the technology, and then it gives us some options. Now, this will vary DAW to DAW, but in Logic, it wants to know what to do with the slices. Now, you can not fix them, so they're all over the shop. You can crossfade them, so it individually crossfade each slice. You can add tracks, which is a bit of a nightmare because it gives you a track for each slice. You can do that if you want, but I wouldn't advise it. You can render it into a single file, so it'll lose its tempo-based info, or we can render it into an Apple loop. Now, Apple loops are Apple's version of Rex files, really. You know, they contain tempo information, they contain the slices, and they can change tempo easily without affecting their sound. So we're going to go for this one. Hit OK. It's asking us to add it to the library. We'll do that. We'll import the tempo information. But as you can see, it's now in there. And we'll bring it up to 124, say. We'll loop it for a little while, and we'll have a listen. Great, it's playing perfectly. And you can see why this little icon here, this shows that it's a tempo-based loop or an Apple loop, and it should stay in time when you change your project's BPM. So that's one way of doing it, and this will work with any DAW and any tempo, but in Logic, for instance, there are other ways to go about it. We could import our original loop that doesn't contain any timing information at all. And this is the first one that we edited from the MP3 and that we loaded into Recycle. Now, I'll just hide this for the minute. It's the original one, and we'll zoom into this a little bit. Now, this involves time stretching. You can see that it's the wrong length, and currently it's edited incorrectly. So let's double click it and have a look at our sample editor. Now, if I zoom out, we can edit this quite accurately. Now, once we've edited it in the sample editor and got our start and end points correct, so we've got the right amount of bars, we've got 2 bars. I don't think we're containing the fill we did in the Rex file, but you can see that it's slightly off kilter. So if you want to time stretch this, if we go to the bottom right, you can see this is the alter length icon. If I press Alt, you can see the icons slightly change into 2 little waveforms, and this is the time stretch icon. And by doing this, we can just change the tempo. Now that will loop. It's not looping as well. It sounds a little crunchy. I would advise against this. Time stretching is okay for some things. It works well with vocals. It works well with monophonic instruments. Not so well with drum loops for me, especially if they're going to be the core of your mix, because you do get that crunchy sound. You can change the algorithms in the preferences, and some DAWs are better than others. Record's new time stretch facility, for instance, and its new algorithm is great, and it sounds a lot cleaner than this. And Cubase's is slightly better as well to some extent. But it is there if you need it, and for non-critical sounds, it can be really useful. Next, I'm going to show you something that is a little bit more successful in Logic and that also works in Ableton and Cubase to some extent as well.